Jama Varma, Jama Varma, Jama Varma. Early medieval history. India between 750 and 1200 AD. This period can be categorized as the early medieval period of the Indian history and has been regarded as a dark phase in the Indian history. Because in this period there was no centralized rule and numerous regional states which were busy fighting with each other. However, this perception has changed due to recent studies. Even though India was politically divided, there was growth in the fields of art, literature, and language. The best of the temple architecture and Indian literature belongs to this period. Therefore, it was far from being dark. Instead, it can be called as a bright and vibrant phase of Indian history. Political developments of the period. This period can be further divided into two phases, 750 to 1000 AD and 1000 to 1200 AD. The first phase had three important political powers in India, namely Gujarat, Pratiharas in northern part of the India, Palas in the eastern India, Rashtrakutas in the south India. These three dynasties were constantly in conflict with each other to establish control on the fertile Gangetic region. This conflict in Indian history is known as tripartite struggle. Tripartite struggle. In the second phase, these powers undergo breakup into many smaller kingdoms all over the country. For example, Pratihara Empire disintegrated into various Rajput states under the control of different Rajput dynasties such as Chauhans, Chandalas, Paramaras, etc. They fought against Turkish invaders such as Ghazni and Ghori but could not stand unitedly. Let us understand the history of the three powers mentioned above. Pratiharas. It was founded by Nagabhatta, one of the Rajput clan in the Malwa region in the 8th century. One of his successors, Vatsaraja, expanded the kingdom to a large part of North India and made Kanauj his capital. The policy of expansion led to conflict with Dharmapala, the Pala king of Bengal and Bihar, and Dhruva, the Rashtrakuta king from South India. This thus began the tripartite struggle. The struggle carried on for 150 years under different kings, but the Gujarat Pratiharas continued to hold their powers over Kanauj till the last. The Dharmapala defeated by Vatsaraja, and Vatsaraja was defeated by Rashtrakutas. King Mihir Bhoj, Mahodaya. Mihir Bhoja in 9th century was one of the most important and famous king of this dynasty. An Arabian scholar called Suleiman praised Mihir Bhoj in his writing. He expanded the empire but on the east was defeated by Devapala, the Pala king. After the death of Devapala, he expanded to the east. He then tried to conquer the parts of Malwa, Deccan and Gujarat but was resisted by Rashtrakutas. He turned attention. He could control Gujarat and parts of Malwa but couldn't proceed towards Deccan. He turned attention towards north again and according to inscription he conquered till the river Sutlej. He was a devotee of Vishnu and adopted the title of Adi Baraha. Bhoja died in 885 AD and was succeeded by his son Mahendrapala I, who tried to expand the kingdom till 908 to 909 AD. Al-Masoudi, a traveler from Baghdad, wrote about this kingdom. He called it Al-Jujar, a corrupt form of Gujarat, and writes details about the extent of the kingdom and their strength. Between 915 to 918, Rashtrakuta king Indra III attacked Kanauj and devastates it. The Pratihara Empire is weakened after this and surrendered several territories such as Gujarat, etc. Another attack by Krishna III of Rashtrakutas in 963 AD resulted in rapid decline of Pratiharas. Next, Palas, founded by Gopala. গোপালাকে পরম স্বগতাও বলে, আবার এই বুদ্ধিজম মহায়ানা. He was the son of a soldier but was elected by nobleman of the area to reign in the anarchy. He unified Bengal under his control and brought Magadha, that is Bihar, under his control. His son and grandson Dharmapala and Devapala expanded the power and prestige of the Pala dynasty. They were constantly in a fight with Pratiharas for control over Kannauj but failed to win. They turned attention towards eastern side and control Pragyajyotispur, that is in Assam, and parts of modern day Orissa. Even extended their suzerainty to parts of modern day Nepal. They were the followers of Buddhism and promoted the religion by building viharas, that is monasteries, and temples in the eastern Indias. Dharmapala also revived the Nalanda University and allowed it to collect revenue from 200 villages to meet its expenses. He also founded the famous Vikramashila University near Bhagalpur in Bihar, which became the second only to Nalanda. Vikramashila University attracted students from all parts of India and also from Tibet, and Sanskrit texts were translated into Tibetan at this monastery. তাহলে ধর্মপালা বুদ্ধিজম ছিল, এই পালা বংশের বুদ্ধিজম ছিল, গোপালাও হয়তো বুদ্ধিজম ছিল, তাহলে পরম সহগতা বলতো। বুদ্ধিজম মহায়ানা, ক্যাপিটাল ছিল মগধে। আর আর্লি লাইভলিহুড বরেন্দ্রিতে থাকতো এর আগে। মোনাস্ট্রি একটা তৈরি করেছিল, আদান্তপুরী মোনাস্ট্রি তৈরি করেছিল। ধর্মপাল বিক্রমশীল ইউনিভার্সিটি, সন অফ গোপাল আর সোনপুর বিহার। ঠিক আছে। দেবপাল মোনাস্ট্রি ইন নালন্দা, বুদ্ধ মঠ, কোর্ট পোয়েট ছিল বর্ষা দত্তা। আর নালন্দা ইউনিভার্সিটিকে দেবপালই তৈরি করেছিল। না, দেবপাল নালন্দা ইউনিভার্সিটির জন্য 5টা ভিলেজ দিয়েছিল নালন্দা ইউনিভার্সিটির জন্য। Atisha Dipankara, who was greatly respected in Tibet, was associated with Vikramashila University. Arab merchant Suleiman has also left an account of the Pala Empire. Information about the Pala Empire is also reconstructed from Tibetan chronicles. They also extended their patronage to Shaivism and Vaishnavism and gave grants to Brahmanas. They established cultural contacts with Shailendra dynasty, which ruled over Southeast Asian countries of Malaya, Java, Burma, Sumatra, etc. Rashtrakutas. The kingdom was founded by Danti Durga with the capital at Mania Kheta and Malkhed in today's Gulbarga region of Karnataka. They dominated the areas of northern Karnataka and Maharashtra. They were in constant conflict in Pratiharas in the north for Gujarat, Malwa, and more importantly for control over Kannauj. In the south, they fought with Chalukyas of Bhengi in modern Andhra Pradesh. Krishna I was one of the most important king of the Rashtrakuta dynasty and the uncle of Danti Durga. He commissioned the building of the famous Kailash temple at Ellora, dedicated to Lord Shiva. The temple is carved out of a single piece of rock. Another proficient king of the Rashtrakuta dynasty was Dhruva. He succeeded the throne and assumed the title as Maharaja Dhiraja, Dhanavarsha, Parameshwar and Kalivallava. Amogha Varsha is another famous Rashtrakoot king and gave royal patronage of Jainism. It was during his reign the regional literature flourished. Great grandson of Amogha Varsha, Indra III, defeated Pratihara king Mahipala. The Rashtrakoot dynasty lasted for about 200 years, and Krishna III was the last great king of Rashtrakoot dynasty. The Arab travelers of the time wrote accounts about his dynasty and informed us that the Rashtrakoot were quite friendly with the Arab traders. They even allowed the Arab traders to build mosques and follow their religion without any hindrance. The Rashtrakoot showed a liberal attitude towards all religion and had a sea trade with Arabs at that time. They issued coins like suvarna and dramas in silver and gold as a medium of exchange. Imperial Cholas. In the extreme South India, the Cholas founded a mighty empire during AD 1000 to AD 1200. These Cholas who appeared in the medieval part of India are called Imperial Cholas, different from the Cholas of Sangam age. Rather, the relationship between the Imperial Cholas with the earlier Cholas of Sangam age is not clear. The Imperial Cholas rose to power after defeating Pallavas in South India. The Chola dynasty was founded by Vijayalaya Chola. Vijayalaya Chola. But the most famous rulers of the dynasty was Raja I and his son Rajendra I. During the peak of the Cholas, the empire extended from river Tungabhadra in the north to Kanyakumari in the south. The Chola king had a strong navy and even conquered Maldives and the Lakshadweep island and the parts of Sri Lanka. They also defeated the kings of Malaya, Java and Sumatra. Raja I constructed a majestic and one of the most famous temple known as Raja Rajeshwara or Brihadeshwara temple dedicated to Lord Shiva at Tanjore. According to chronicles, he also carried out a survey of land for better collection of land revenue in his empire. Rajendra I extended the empire even beyond. He carried his arms up to Ganga in Bengal and defeated the Pala king Mahipala. This victory was commemorated by founding a new capital called Gangaikonda Cholapuram, and he acquired the title Gangaikonda, which means conqueror of Ganga. He was also patron of learning, hence was known as the Pandita Chola. The last important Chola king was Kulotunga, after which the Chola Empire started disintegrating and shrunk much smaller area. Chola administration, the kingdom became prosperous with the spread of irrigation and agriculture. Sabha was Brahman predominant villages, whereas the settlement of peasants were known as Ar. The groups of such villages were called Nandu. The village council was also given several administration functions such as dispensing justice and collecting taxes. The richest peasants belonged to Villala caste. They exercised considerable control over the affairs of the Nadu under the supervision of the central Chola government. Rajputs. The most important features of the early medieval period was the rise of a new class of the people called the Rajput. The period of rising can be ascribed between 647 AD to 1200 AD. The origin of Rajput is disputed. Some historians argue that they were the descendants of various groups of foreign invaders coming to India from the northwest and settling around that area, such as Sakas, Kushans, Huns, etc. Another set of people believed they were the descendants of Lord Rama, Surya Vamsa, or Lord Krishna, Chandra Vamsa, or the hero who sprang from the sacrificial fire, Agnikula theory. Origin of the Rajput, today's view. According to today's scholar, there is a connection between rise of Rajput class and the extension of agriculture activities in Rajasthan. The land grants led to an increasing number of agricultural settlements and gave rise to the creation of many local chiefs with financial and political power to set up an independent authority. To acquire legitimacy and authenticity, they invited Brahmanas from Gangetic and other regions to perform royal rituals and ceremonies in return for a dakshina. They also commissioned writings about their illustrious ancestors, linking them with Lord Rama and Lord Krishna to claim a dignified position of a warrior class. Different clans of Rajputs, Chauhan established themselves in central Rajasthan, Solankis in Kathiawar region, Powars or Paramaras ruled over Malwa with capital at Dhar near Indore. Chandels ruled in Bundelkhand region. Guhilas rose to power in the Mewar south of the Chauhans. Tomaras in Haryana and Delhi. The others include Senas in Bengal and Gahadawalas of Kannauj were also Rajputs. Several hill states of Punjab came to prominence in this period, such as Champaka, Chamba Duraga, Jambu Jeta, আর কুলুতা যেটাকে কুলু বলে. Invaders. The Arab merchants and the sailors narrated the stories of the great wealth of the India, and it attracted the Arabs to invade India. The invention of India in the medieval period began in the early 8th century when Arabs invaded India from northwest region. Muhammad bin Qasim a general of Umayyad Caliphate in 712 AD, invaded India as a part of the policy of Arab expansion during this period. Qasim attacked the Multan, the Golden City. After that, the other major invaders in the early medieval period were Mahmud of Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori. Mahmud of Ghazni, Sultan for the first time, also known as Ideal Breaker. Ghazni was founded by a Turkish nobleman in the 10th century in Afghanistan. Mahmud was one of the rulers of the kingdom, and he aimed to make Ghazni big and powerful. He wanted to conquer entire Central Asia, for which he needed huge resources. He was told about the riches of India, hence decided to attack India to rob Indian wealth. The first raid was 1001 AD and first encountered Hindushai ruler Jaipal. In the subsequent years, Mahmud Ghazni attacked the rulers of Multan and Punjab passed into the hands of Ghaznavids. He mostly attacked only on the temple towns in the northern India such as Nagarkot, Thaneshwar, Mathura, Kannauj, hearing about the gold and jewelry kept in the big temples of India. One of the most devastating attacks was the destruction of the Somnath temple located in western India. Mahmud Ghazni died in 1030 AD. Over a period of 25 years, Mahmud made 17 raids. He destroyed temples in India, but he built beautiful mosques and a large library. The famous Persian poet Firdausi, who wrote the epic poem Shahnama, was in Ghazni's court. He sent Al-Biruni to India, who wrote his experience of living in India, describing the condition of people, wrote Kitab al-Hind, Indology. And Muhammad Ghori ruled over the Ghurid Empire, another small kingdom in the Afghanistan area. Apart from looting the wealth of India, he also wanted to conquer parts of India. In his efforts, Muhammad faced resistance from the Chauhan ruler Prithviraj III. He defeated Ghori in the first battle of Taran. However, in 1192, Ghori defeated Prithviraj in the second battle of Taran. It allowed the Ghori to establish power in the Delhi area. He appointed his slave Kutubuddin Aibak to administer the kingdom on his behalf. Ghori was murdered in 1206 AD, and it started the rule of slave sultans in North India between 1206 AD to 1526 AD. Hence, this period is called Delhi Sultanate.